No.
I would not pay Tua right now.
Giving Tua a huge deal, I think, is risky. He's been injury prone outside of concussions.
Dolphins are the 21st pick. They move some things around. They could possibly get Michael Penix.
Should the Miami Dolphins really go all in on Tua? We're going to break it down from so many different angles, statistics, film, and so on. But it is very important to talk money.
I mean, they've been good. Right now, I'm letting my agent handle that. I'm focused on my family. I'm focused on continuing to better myself, better my craft. And, we'll talk more about that when that time comes. But for now, exciting times ahead, that's for sure.
So I'm not going to break down every last detail of Tua's contract, but he does have one more year left for $23 million. And the big question, should you do a long-term extension? Well, all the other elite 2020 quarterbacks outside of Jordan Love have signed long-term extensions before last year. So you would like to think that Tua would probably want to get a long-term deal himself. These are all the salary cap figures sorted by year averages via over the cap. And as you can see, Burrow, Herbert, Lamar, they're all in that 50-plus million range. I don't think Tua is going to get that. And what I do want to show you is the lower end, right? You see Baker Mayfield just got $33 million a year. Older Aaron Rodgers got $37 million a year. Daniel Jones, $40 million a year. So you would like to think Tua's agent would say, hey, we're better than Daniel Jones. Sign us.
Yeah, we've been in communication since the offseason began. I'm going to talk to his agent here this week. So our goal is to try and see if we can get something done.
So you've heard Tua and the GM say they want to get something accomplished before the year begins. It just comes down to that specific number. And in today's video, we're going to ask, should he get paid this amount? And for me, it's a lot more complicated than just handing him the bag. As you've seen, in the last 6 Super Bowls, there's been at least one QB on a rookie deal. And that's the thing. When you're on that cheaper contract, you're able to go get Tyreek Hill. You're able to go get Teron Armstead and build a super team, which was basically the Miami Dolphins offense. So we're going to take a look at some of the pros, and this obviously is a major pro for Tua. He runs the offense, right? He doesn't extend plays to the point where he's improvising outside of structure. And when you have Mike McDaniel, one of the best play callers in the NFL, you just want to run the offense and get the football into playmakers' hands like Jalen Waddle. But the question is, can Tua make plays that aren't just simple slant concepts? And there were times that he did, right? You take a look at him in this pocket right here. You get some pressure off the edge from Joey Bosa, and you even get a little bit of a face mask penalty that they don't call. So this pocket is dirty. He steps up into it, extends his play on this 3rd and 6, finds the open receiver, and puts it to where only his guy could get it for a first down. And you saw Tua with some really impressive plays such as this one. But therein lies the problem here. This is week 1. Right, in an indoor setting, a warm weather environment. And one thing we've seen from Tua is regression later in the year. And look, the Miami Dolphins did have a ton of injuries on the offensive line. They had a top 10 offensive line of the year according to Pro Football Focus, but every single one of their starters missed time at some point due to injury. And guess what else happened as the season moved along? Tyreek Hill also got hurt. Jalen Waddle had their share of injuries. And guess what happened? Their offense really began to crumble, as did Devon Achane, their superstar rookie running back out of Texas A&M. And you know, this play was actually a pretty exotic pre-snap motion. This play was actually studied by many YouTubers, including myself, of how innovative Mike McDaniel was as a play caller. So top 5 wide receiver room, top 10 offensive line, top 5 play caller. You had all these things going in your favor. And I can make the argument that Tua is propped up by his environment more so than any other quarterback in the NFL. And you see in the background a little screen in what was probably the worst playoff game from any starter this postseason. Here's a quick chart for you. He was one of the most screen-heavy quarterbacks in all the NFL, fourth in all the league, and that shows you that a lot of things are just kind of opened up for him by the design of the play, right? And I do wonder about his arm strength in cold weather, but we'll talk about that in just a moment. You see right here, just a quick little screen right here to Jalen Waddle out to the left. Every quarterback in the NFL is completing that one. When you watch him, it just seems like I'm watching somebody ordinary being surrounded by overall extraordinary players. And in the background, you actually see what might be his biggest weakness, which is his running. Okay, let's talk about some advanced stats. CPOE, completion percentage over expected, Tua top 5 in the NFL. Total passing yards, Tua was number 1 in the NFL. Overall QBR, he was top 10 in the NFL in some of these advanced analytics. Pro Football Focus had him as a top 10 rated quarterback in the NFL. But when you look at it, he was by far the worst running quarterback there. I don't think he had a game this year over 20 yards rushing. He can't give you any of that. And honestly, how many times have you seen in big games in the playoffs, Mahomes has a big scramble? Give me something as a runner. I just don't see it. And I just go back to the regression, right? And, this was a wide open screen. He couldn't even get it out there to an open A-chan in the flats. I don't get it. I really, really don't get it. I would definitely ride out this rookie deal. And you see the interception in the background. This was actually a really exotic way to get into too high. You see that they actually rotate the safety around. It looks like it's one high at the snap, and then it becomes too high. We see Tua throwing off his back foot. He actually did find an open receiver right there. He just sailed it right in the pocket, did collapse, but still, he just looked so unfreaking believably ordinary down the stretch, and that's when you need your quarterback to play the absolute best. And once again, all of this analysis when it comes to the average athleticism, cold weather, all of this is not including the injury risk, right? So do you want to pay all this money to Tua? Yes, you can give him a more team-friendly deal and you get out of it in 2 years, but what if he is Daniel Jones? What if that is the case? And it very well could be, right? This right here was an underthrow to Tyreek Hill that he was able, obviously, to take to the house. Lots of underthrows that his receivers have to adjust to.
They didn't really beat anybody over 500 last year, but there are things that they can improve on. The more you play with certain players and individuals, the better the chemistry gets. I think offensively, they're going to be much better than they were last year. And if you believe in Tua, he's heard enough of the bull. Tom Brady coming out of retirement to come play in Miami, or is Tua really the answer? Oh, Tua, he's injury prone. He's had concussions. He's always hurt. Is he the future? I think he showed us, me, obviously being a Floridian, he showed that he is capable of being a quality quarterback.
And I agree with Chad. Tua is a good quarterback, all right? He's a quality NFL starter where if everything went according to plan, you can win the Super Bowl. But that's not what we're doing here. We're discussing extending him, right? Giving him a bigger bag, a bigger percentage of that salary cap. And just this past year, Patrick Mahomes was the highest salary cap quarterback to ever actually win the Super Bowl. It's insane, right? There's honestly, to me, 7-ish quarterbacks that are worthy of that contract amount. And Tua is, to me, outside of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. And I think at this point, if I were to start a franchise of the 2020 quarterbacks, Tua would be the 5th, right behind Jordan Love, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, and Joe Burrow. I love this Dolphins team. I love what they do out of 21 personnel. One of the screens Tua missed a minute ago was actually out of 21 personnel in a 4 wide receiver-ish set. I know it's kind of complicated without actually breaking down the play, but I'm starting to get a little hungry here. But look, if I were the Dolphins, played this 5th year out, and let's see if you do. And here's Tua again, predetermining basically an interceptable throw right here. That's just a really bad throw. And like Ocho said, when you play teams over 500, the Dolphins weren't that good. When push came to shove, Dolphins weren't that good. Mike McDaniel himself regressed. So even with all this eliteness around him, I don't believe it. This is a prove-it year. Let's see if you could do it, okay? But you guys comment down below. Do you believe the Dolphins should get this deal done? Now, I'm going to give you one little extra spicy thing here at the end. You heard the name Michael Penix, and that name has been shared a gazillion times with Tua, and that the Dolphins could just wait and get a Michael Penix who, like Tua, is left-handed, like Tua has played in big college football playoff level games and so on and so on. I don't think Penix, and was this actually the right option right here in the flat to this running back or to the tight end? Yeah, look, you did have this crosser right here. I understand the Michael Penix comparisons are there because Penix is a more athletic. He does have a pretty big arm, and he is left-handed, and he is faster, even though he wasn't really much of a runner in college. I don't think Tua's best comparable is Michael Penix, because one thing Penix did not do a great job of in college was throwing over the middle. That's something that Tua actually is really, really good at, is throwing over the middle. So I don't know if that would actually be a viable move. But if I'm the Dolphins, I'm definitely looking into drafting a quarterback if one actually makes sense. But I don't see it with Penix and this Dolphins fit like every other media member has brought up. But there you go. That's just me. You guys comment down below, and we'll talk soon. It is Power Hour NFL. Boom. Tonight, we're doing buffalo chicken. Let's go.